What if I told you that right now, in your mind, you possess the exact same tool that made Andrew Carnegie worth billions, that transformed Henry Ford from a farm boy into an industrial titan, and that allowed Thomas Edison to fail 10,000 times before changing the world forever? And what if I told you that this tool costs nothing, requires no special talent, and can be activated in the next 60 seconds? Here's the uncomfortable truth that most people will never accept. You are exactly one thought away from completely transforming your financial reality. Not 10 steps, not a complicated system. One single thought, held with absolute conviction and backed by burning desire. Stay with me, because in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact mental formula that Napoleon Hill spent 20 years and interviewed over 500 millionaires to discover. This isn't theory. This isn't motivation. This is a precise psychological blueprint that has created more millionaires than any other philosophy in human history. And here's what makes this even more powerful. Hill didn't just interview successful people and ask them nice questions. He was personally mentored by the richest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie, who gave him a mission to distill the exact science of achievement into a formula that anyone could follow. The result? Think and Grow Rich, a book that has sold over 100 million copies and continues to create wealth nearly a century after it was written. But here's where most people get it wrong. They read the title and think it's about money. It's not. It's about the mental process that creates money, success, relationships, health, and everything else you desire. Money is just the easiest thing to measure. So here's my promise to you. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the 13 proven principles that separate those who dream from those who achieve. You'll discover why most people fail, just 3 feet from gold. And you'll learn the one secret that, when properly applied, makes success inevitable. Are you ready? Because once you truly understand this, you can never go back to ordinary thinking. Let's begin. The year was 1908. A young journalist named Napoleon Hill was assigned to interview the steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world. What was supposed to be a 3-hour interview turned into 3 days. On the 3rd day, Carnegie made Hill an extraordinary proposition. He said, "I believe the world needs a practical philosophy of achievement. I want you to spend the next 20 years interviewing the most successful people in America and distill their secrets into a simple formula that anyone can follow. I'll give you letters of introduction to anyone you want to meet, but I won't pay you a penny. Will you do it?" Carnegie gave Hill exactly 29 seconds to decide. Hill said yes. For the next 20 years, Hill interviewed over 500 of the most successful individuals of his time. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, John D. Rockefeller, Theodore Roosevelt, and hundreds more. He studied their successes, their failures, their habits, and their mindsets. What he discovered shocked him. Success wasn't random. It wasn't about luck or circumstances. It followed exact laws, as precise as the laws of physics. And anyone who applied these laws would get the same results. In 1937, Hill published his findings in Think and Grow Rich. The book became an instant phenomenon. But here's what makes it truly remarkable. The principles Hill discovered nearly 100 years ago are still creating millionaires today. Why? Because human psychology hasn't changed. The laws of achievement are timeless. Now, let me be clear about something important. This book isn't called Wish and Grow Rich or Hope and Grow Rich. It's called Think and Grow Rich. That word think is deliberate and specific. Hill discovered that there's a particular way of thinking that activates what he called the secret. And once you understand the secret, it appears on every page of the book, in every principle, in every example. Are you ready to discover what that secret is? The first principle is desire, but not the weak, wishy-washy kind of wanting that most people experience. Hill is talking about a burning, obsessive, all-consuming desire that becomes the dominating thought of your mind. Here's the key distinction. Most people say they want to be rich, but they don't really want it. They want the results of being rich. They want the comfort, the freedom, the respect. But they don't want enough to pay the price in effort, sacrifice, and persistence. Hill tells the story of Edwin C. Barnes, who had an intense desire to become a business partner of Thomas Edison. Barnes had no money, no connections, and no obvious advantages. But he had something more powerful, a definite purpose backed by burning desire. Barnes couldn't afford train fare to Edison's laboratory, so he rode the freight train. When he arrived at Edison's office looking like a tramp, Edison's assistants wanted to throw him out. But Edison saw something in Barnes' eyes. He saw determination. He saw that burning desire. Edison didn't make Barnes a partner that day. Instead, he gave him a job sweeping floors. Most people would have been insulted. They would have quit. But Barnes knew exactly what he wanted, and he knew he was exactly where he needed to be. For years, Barnes worked in Edison's organization, always maintaining that clear vision of partnership. Then one day, Edison invented a new dictating machine. His salespeople didn't believe in it. They thought it would fail. But Barnes saw his opportunity. He knew, with absolute certainty, that he could sell that machine. Barnes became Edison's partner in distributing the Edison dictating machine and made a fortune. But here's the critical insight. Barnes succeeded not because of the dictating machine, but because of what happened in his mind years before he ever met Edison. Hill identified 6 specific steps for translating desire into reality. First, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Be definite. Don't say, I want to be rich. Say, I will have $1 million. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire, and begin at once, whether you're ready or not. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of these 4 points. Sixth, read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before sleeping and once after waking. As you read, see and feel, and believe yourself already in possession of the money. This 6th step is crucial. Most people skip it because it seems foolish or mystical. But Hill discovered that this process of visualization and emotional connection is what programs your subconscious mind to recognize and seize opportunities that lead to your goal. The question isn't whether this works. The question is, are you willing to desire something intensely enough to follow these steps every single day until you achieve it? The second principle is faith, and Hill defines it very specifically. Faith is a visualization and belief in the attainment of desire. It's the eternal elixir that gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Here's where most people stumble. They confuse faith with hope or wishing. But Hill is talking about absolute conviction, unwavering certainty, a state of mind that can be induced through repeated affirmation and visualization. Think about it this way. Every thought you think is charged with emotion. Thoughts mixed with emotion become a magnetic force that attracts similar or related thoughts. When you repeatedly think about your definite purpose with deep emotion and conviction, you're literally broadcasting a frequency that attracts people, circumstances, and opportunities aligned with that purpose. Hill discovered a formula for developing faith. It's based on the principle of AUTOSUGGESTION, which is simply a fancy term for self-talk. Your subconscious mind will translate into reality any thought backed by emotional feeling. The challenge is that most people's self-talk is negative, doubtful, and fear-based. Here's the faith formula. First, know that you have the ability to achieve your definite purpose and demand persistent action toward its attainment. Second, realize that your dominant thoughts will eventually reproduce themselves in physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Third, devote 30 minutes daily to demanding of yourself the development of the qualities necessary to achieve your goal. Fourth, write out a clear description of your definite purpose and never stop trying until you have developed sufficient self-confidence to attain it. Hill emphasizes that faith is a state of mind that you must develop. You weren't born with faith or lack of faith. You developed your current mental state through the thoughts you've habitually held, and you can change it through the same process. One of the most powerful examples in the book is the story of Muhammad. When Muhammad announced his mission, he faced ridicule, persecution, and death threats. His followers were few, but Muhammad had absolute faith in his mission. He never wavered, never doubted, never compromised. And that unwavering faith eventually converted millions of followers and changed the course of history. You might be thinking, but I'm not Muhammad. I'm not trying to start a religion. I just want to succeed in my career or business. That's exactly the point. The principle is the same whether you're building a religion, a business, or a personal fortune. Unwavering faith in your definite purpose, combined with plans for its achievement, creates irresistible power. Here's a critical insight that Hill discovered. All thoughts that have been emotionalized and mixed with faith begin immediately to translate themselves into their physical equivalent. Your subconscious mind recognizes and acts only upon thoughts that have been well mixed with emotion or feeling. This is why merely reading about success does nothing. This is why merely wanting success does nothing. You must emotionalize your thoughts. You must feel, in advance, the reality of your achievement. You must develop such complete faith that you can see yourself already in possession of your goal. The practical application? Create a definite statement of what you intend to achieve. Emotionalize it. Repeat it daily with absolute conviction, and watch as your subconscious mind goes to work finding ways to make it real. Autosuggestion is the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. It's the agency of communication between the conscious, reasoning mind and the subconscious, automatic mind. Simply put, it's all the thoughts and self-talk that you feed your subconscious. Here's the problem. Most people allow their subconscious mind to be influenced by whatever random thoughts and external suggestions come their way. They're victims of circumstance because they never take control of what enters their subconscious. Hill discovered that your subconscious mind works continuously, whether you direct it or not. It's like a garden. If you don't plant seeds deliberately, weeds will grow automatically. If you don't consciously choose what thoughts to accept, your mind will accept whatever thoughts happen to show up, mostly negative ones from your environment. The key to using autosuggestion effectively is to combine it with emotion and faith. Reading your definite purpose statement mechanically does nothing. But when you read it with intense emotion, visualizing yourself already in possession of your goal, feeling the feelings of achievement, your subconscious mind begins to act on those thoughts. He'll provide specific instructions for using autosuggestion to influence your subconscious mind. Go to a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and repeat aloud your written statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire, the time limit for its acquisition, and the service or merchandise you intend to give in return. As you repeat the statement, see yourself already in possession of the money. Create a clear mental picture. If you want $1 million, see the $1 million. See what you'll do with it. See how you'll feel. Make it as real as possible in your imagination. Repeat this process night and morning until you can see and feel the money in your possession. When you reach this state, you'll have successfully transmitted to your subconscious mind the object of your desire, and it will lead you to the physical equivalent. Most people try this once or twice, see no immediate results, and quit. They don't understand that they're dealing with a force that requires repetition, emotion, and persistence. You're literally reprogramming your mind, replacing years of negative conditioning with new, positive, success-oriented thoughts. This doesn't happen overnight. Hill makes an important point. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose you wish transformed into concrete form. The subconscious mind works with the material you give it through autosuggestion. The practical takeaway is simple but profound. Take control of what enters your mind. Be deliberate about your self-talk. Feed your subconscious mind thoughts of success, abundance, and achievement, mixed with strong positive emotion, and will work tirelessly to bring those thoughts into reality. The fourth principle shatters a common myth. Hill states clearly, general knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety, is of little use in the accumulation of money. This surprised many people when the book was first published, and it still surprises people today. We're taught that the more we know, the more successful we'll be. But Hill discovered something different. The successful people he interviewed didn't necessarily know more than everyone else. They knew how to get the specific knowledge they needed when they needed it, and how to apply it toward a definite purpose. Henry Ford is a perfect example. During a trial, a group of lawyers tried to prove Ford was ignorant. They asked him questions about history, science, and various general topics. Ford struggled to answer. Finally, he said, "I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. By pushing one of them, I can summon to my aid people who can answer any question I desire concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter my mind with general knowledge when I have people around me who can supply any knowledge I require?" The lawyers had no response. Ford had just demonstrated the principle of specialized knowledge. He didn't need to know everything. He needed to know where to get the specific knowledge required to build automobiles and run a successful business. Hill identifies two types of knowledge, general and specialized. General knowledge is abundant, inexpensive, and of little value in making money. Specialized knowledge is scarce, valuable, and essential for success. But here's the key. Specialized knowledge is only valuable when it's organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action. Many educated people never accumulate wealth. Why? Because they have knowledge but no definite purpose. They know facts but not how to use them. Education is valuable only when it helps you develop a definite plan for turning knowledge into practical use. Hill outlines several ways to acquire specialized knowledge. First, through your own experience and education. But don't stop learning when you finish school. Make continuous learning a lifelong habit. Second, through the experience and education of others. You can access this through masterminds, mentors, books, courses, and expert consultants. Third, through colleges, universities, and night schools. Hill was a strong advocate for continuing education, especially for working professionals. Fourth, through public libraries, where you can find almost any specialized knowledge you need, usually for free. Fifth, through special training courses available in virtually every field. Hill noted that the most successful people invest heavily in specialized training. The critical insight is this. Before success comes in any person's life, they must meet with temporary defeat and perhaps some failure. When defeat overtakes them, the easiest thing to do is quit. That's exactly what the majority of people do. But those who succeed refuse to quit. Instead, they acquire whatever specialized knowledge they need, formulate a new plan, and try again. Edison failed 10,000 times before perfecting the light bulb. Each failure gave him specialized knowledge about what didn't work, bringing him closer to what would work. Here's your practical application. Identify the specialized knowledge you need to achieve your definite purpose. Then acquire that knowledge through whatever means necessary. Don't worry about what you don't know. Focus on getting the specific knowledge you need when you need it and immediately applying it toward your goal. Remember, knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when it's organized into definite plans of action and directed toward a definite end. Imagination is the workshop where all plans are created. Hill discovered that imagination is the most powerful force available to human beings. It's the laboratory where ideas are born, refined, and transformed into reality. There are two forms of imagination: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination is the process of arranging old concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations. This is what most people do most of the time. They take existing ideas and rearrange them in new ways. This is valuable and necessary, but it's limited by past experiences and existing knowledge. Creative imagination is a finite connecting link between the conscious mind and what Hill calls infinite intelligence. Through creative imagination, you receive hunches, insights, and inspiration. You access ideas that are entirely new, not based on past experiences. This is where true innovation happens. Every great invention, every breakthrough, every revolution in thinking came through creative imagination. Edison didn't just rearrange existing ideas to create the light bulb. He accessed something entirely new through his creative imagination. Here's the key. Creative imagination becomes more alert and receptive in proportion to its development through use. Like a muscle, it grows stronger with exercise. The more you use it, the more powerful it becomes. Hill provides a practical method for using imagination. Start with your definite purpose. Then, using synthetic imagination, arrange everything you've learned about achieving that purpose into a workable plan. As you do this, remain open to flashes of inspiration from creative imagination. These hunches and insights often provide the missing piece that makes your plan work. One of the most powerful examples in the book is the story of Asa Candler, who transformed Coca-Cola from a small patent medicine into a global empire. The formula itself wasn't special. What was special was Candler's imagination. He imagined Coca-Cola as something more than a medicine. He imagined it as a refreshing drink that everyone would want. He imagined bottling it, distributing it, and marketing it in ways that had never been done before. His imagination turned a simple formula into billions of dollars. Hill emphasizes that ideas are beginning points of all fortunes. Ideas are products of imagination. The difference between poverty and wealth often comes down to a single idea properly acted upon. But here's where most people fail. They have ideas, but they dismiss them as impractical or impossible. They allow doubt and fear to kill their ideas before giving them a chance. Or they have great ideas but never act on them, waiting for the perfect time that never comes. The successful people Hill studied did something different. When they had an idea, they immediately began testing it, refining it, and acting on it. They understood that an idea is only valuable when it's transformed into practical action. Hill discovered a critical principle. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn their ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, which is essential to success. Your imagination is currently being used. The question is, are you using it to create plans for achieving your goals, or are you using it to imagine all the ways you might fail? Are you visualizing your success or your defeat? Here's your practical application. Take your definite purpose and spend time daily in focused imagination. See yourself already successful. Imagine the details. How do you feel? What are you doing? Who are you with? What have you achieved? Make it vivid. Make it emotional. Make it real in your imagination. Then, remain alert for inspired ideas that will show you how to make it physical reality. Remember, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This isn't mysticism. It's a natural result of focused imagination backed by faith and directed toward a definite purpose. Desire, faith, and imagination mean nothing without organized planning. Hill discovered that every successful person has a definite plan for achieving their purpose. Unsuccessful people don't have plans, or they have vague plans that constantly change. The principle of organized planning consists of several elements. First, ally yourself with a group of people you need to help create and carry out your plans. This is the Mastermind principle, which we'll discuss in more detail later. No individual has sufficient experience, education, and ability to ensure success without cooperation from others. Second, before forming your Mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you can offer each member in return for their cooperation. No one will work indefinitely without some form of compensation. Third, arrange to meet with your Mastermind group at least twice a week until you've jointly perfected the necessary plan or plans. Fourth, maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your Mastermind group. If you fail in this, you're sure to meet with failure. The Mastermind principle cannot be maintained where perfect harmony doesn't exist. Hill then presents crucial information about leadership, because organized planning requires leadership. He identifies two types of leadership: leadership by consent and leadership by force. Leadership by consent is the only form that endures. The major attributes of successful leaders include unwavering courage based upon knowledge of self and one's occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence and courage. Self-control. Those who cannot control themselves can never control others. A keen sense of justice. Without a sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of followers. Definiteness of decision. People who waver in their decisions show that they're not sure of themselves and cannot lead others successfully. Definiteness of plans. The successful leader must plan work and work the plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. The habit of doing more than paid for. One of the penalties of leadership is the necessity of willingness to do more than is required of followers. A pleasing personality. Leadership requires respect. Followers will not respect a leader who doesn't demonstrate superior personality. Sympathy and understanding. The successful leader must be in sympathy with followers and understand them and their problems. Mastery of detail. Successful leadership requires mastery of the details of the leader's position, willingness to assume full responsibility. The successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and shortcomings of followers. Cooperation. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce followers to do the same. Hill also identifies the major causes of failure in leadership: inability to organize details. Efficient leadership requires ability to organize and master details. No genuine leader is ever too busy to do anything that may be required. Unwillingness to render humble service. Truly great leaders are willing, when occasion demands, to perform any sort of labor they would ask another perform. Expectation of pay for what they know instead of what they do. The world pays for what a person does, not for what they know. Fear of competition from followers. Leaders who fear that one of their followers may take their position are practically sure to realize that fear sooner or later. Lack of imagination. Without imagination, leaders are incapable of meeting emergencies and creating plans to guide followers efficiently. Selfishness. Leaders who claim all the honor for the work of their followers are sure to face resentment. The truly great leader claims none of the honors. Intemperance. Followers don't respect intemperate leaders. Any form of intemperance destroys endurance and vitality. Disloyalty. The leader who is not loyal to their trust and to associates cannot maintain leadership. Disloyalty marks one as being less than the dust. Emphasis on authority of leadership. Efficient leaders lead by encouraging, not by trying to instill fear. Leaders who try to impress followers with their authority are operating through leadership by force. Emphasis on title. Competent leaders require no title to gain respect. Those who make too much of their titles generally have little else to emphasize. Hill then provides practical steps for building organized plans. Ally yourself with as many people as you may need for creation and carrying out your plan or plans. Before forming your alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you can offer members in return for their cooperation. Arrange to meet with members at least twice weekly. Maintain perfect harmony with all members. If your first plan fails, replace it with a new plan. If that fails, replace it again, and keep replacing it until you find one that works. This last point is crucial. Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Most people give up after their first setback. But Hill discovered that every successful person he studied had faced multiple defeats before achieving success. The difference was that they refused to quit. They created new plans and kept trying until they succeeded. Remember, quitting is permanent failure. Everything else is just temporary defeat and an opportunity to learn. Analysis of several hundred people who accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and changing them slowly, if at all. People who fail to accumulate money have the opposite habit. They reach decisions very slowly and change them quickly and often. This principle seems simple, but Hill discovered it's one of the major causes of failure. Indecision and procrastination are twin brothers. Where one is found, the other is usually close at hand. Hill conducted extensive research on this principle and made a shocking discovery. One of the most common weaknesses shared by all unsuccessful people is a habit of leaving their minds open to the negative influence of other people. Think about that. How many times have you made a decision only to change it after talking to someone else? How many great ideas have you abandoned because someone told you they wouldn't work? How many opportunities have you missed because you couldn't make up your mind quickly enough? Hill tells the story of the signing of the Declaration of Independence to illustrate the power of decision. 56 men signed that document, knowing they were literally signing their own death warrants if the revolution failed. These men reached a decision that required great courage. They decided to accept the responsibility of declaring independence, regardless of the consequences. The majority of the signers lost everything they owned. Several of them were captured and tortured before being killed. But their decision gave birth to a nation and changed the course of history. You might think, I'm not making decisions about founding nations. My decisions aren't that important. But that's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps you from success. Every decision you make is important. Each decision either moves you toward your goals or away from them. Hill discovered that successful people make decisions quickly because they know what they want. They have a definite purpose. So decisions become easier. Should I do this or that? Which one aligns with my definite purpose? The answer becomes obvious. Unsuccessful people struggle with decisions because they don't have a clear purpose. Without knowing where you're going, how can you decide which path to take? Here's another critical insight. Keep your own counsel when you begin to put into practice the principles described here. By all means, discuss your plans with members of your Mastermind Alliance, but be careful not to discuss them with everyone you meet. Not everyone has your best interests at heart, and not everyone understands the principles of success. Hill noted that opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. If you're influenced by the opinions of others, you'll have no desire of your own. Close friends and relatives, while meaning well, often give the worst advice. They're usually influenced by polite skepticism. They don't want to see you disappointed, so they discourage you from taking risks. But without risk, there's no reward. The practical application is straightforward. Make decisions quickly. Once you've made a decision, stick with it unless you have clear evidence that it's wrong. Don't change your mind just because someone disagrees with you. Don't abandon your plans just because obstacles appear. Second, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. Third, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions from friends, relatives, and acquaintances. Fourth, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage you to follow through with both plan and purpose. These 4 steps are essential for success in all walks of life. The purpose must be definite. The plan must be active. The mind must be protected from negative influences. And you must have supportive people around you. The practical takeaway is clear. Develop persistence through daily practice. When obstacles appear, don't quit. Create new plans. Try new approaches. But never give up on your definite purpose. Remember, the majority of people meet defeat and give up. A few rare individuals keep going. Those rare individuals accumulate great fortunes. The only difference between them and everyone else is persistence. Power is essential for success in accumulating money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. Power is defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Hill discovered that power can be acquired through 3 sources. First, infinite intelligence. This is the source from which all creative imagination flows. Second, accumulated experience. Humanity's entire collective knowledge, organized and available through libraries, schools, and research. Third, experiment and research. Scientific investigation in all fields. But here's the key insight. Knowledge itself is not power. It's only potential power. It becomes actual power only when it's organized into definite plans of action and directed toward a definite end. This brings us to the mastermind principle, which Hill described as the most important of all the principles. The mastermind is a coordination of knowledge and effort between 2 or more people who work toward a definite purpose in a spirit of harmony. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. When you coordinate the knowledge and effort of 2 or more people toward a definite purpose, you create synergy. The whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Hill identified 2 characteristics of the mastermind principle. First, economic advantage. When you coordinate the efforts of multiple minds toward a single purpose, you gain access to combined knowledge, experience, and mental energy that no single individual could possess. Second, psychic advantage. When 2 or more minds coordinate in a spirit of harmony, they create a third, invisible force that Hill called the mastermind. This force is greater than the sum of the individual minds and gives you access to spiritual power and creative intelligence. Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with a mastermind group of about 50 people. These were experts in different fields: manufacturing, finance, marketing, engineering. Carnegie admitted that he knew little about the technical aspects of steel manufacturing, but he knew how to coordinate the knowledge of people who did know, and that coordination made him one of the richest men in history. Henry Ford did the same. Thomas Edison did the same. Every successful person Hill studied had a mastermind alliance. The practical application. Identify people whose knowledge, experience, and influence can help you achieve your definite purpose. Approach them with a clear proposal of what benefits they'll receive in return for their cooperation. Meet regularly, maintain perfect harmony, and coordinate your efforts toward your common goal. Your mastermind doesn't need to be large. 2 or 3 committed people can create enormous power when properly coordinated. But choose carefully. One negative person in your mastermind can destroy the entire group's effectiveness. This is perhaps the most misunderstood principle in the entire book. Sex transmutation means the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of creative expression. Hill discovered that sex desire is the most powerful of human desires. When driven by this desire, people develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. The key insight is that this powerful energy can be redirected. Instead of dissipating it through physical expression alone, it can be transmuted into creative and productive endeavors. The successful people Hill studied had learned to control and redirect this energy toward their business and creative pursuits. Hill noted that people rarely succeed in accumulating great wealth before the age of 40. Why? Because most people don't learn to transmute sex energy until after years of experience, and often after reaching the age of 40 to 50. The emotions of love, sex, and romance are capable of driving people to great heights of achievement. When combined with other emotions like desire and faith, they create a state of mind that provides direct connection to creative imagination and infinite intelligence. This principle is not about repression or denial. It's about intelligent direction of one of the most powerful forces available to human beings. The subconscious mind is a connecting link between the conscious, thinking mind and infinite intelligence. It works day and night, processing every thought and emotion you experience. You cannot completely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose you wish transformed into concrete form. The subconscious mind works with the material you give it through your thoughts. Hill identified 7 major positive emotions and 7 major negative emotions. The subconscious mind responds to both, but you must keep it flooded with positive emotions if you want positive results. The 7 positive emotions are desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. The 7 negative emotions are fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger. Positive and negative emotions cannot occupy the mind at the same time. One or the other must dominate. It's your responsibility to make sure positive emotions constitute the dominating influence of your mind. The practical application: through AUTOSUGGESTION, deliberately feed your subconscious mind thoughts of a positive nature, mixed with emotion. Do this consistently, and your subconscious mind will work continuously to transform those thoughts into their physical equivalent. Hill believed that the brain is both a broadcasting and receiving station for thought vibrations. Through the subconscious mind, you can send and receive thought vibrations to and from other brains. This principle, when Hill wrote it, seemed far-fetched to many readers. But modern research into quantum physics and consciousness suggests Hill may have been ahead of his time. The practical application is simple. Surround yourself with people who think the way you want to think. Your brain will pick up and absorb the thought vibrations of those around you. This is why your mastermind alliance is so crucial, and why you must be careful about whose influence you allow into your life. The 6th sense is that portion of the subconscious mind referred to as creative imagination. It's also called the receiving set through which ideas, plans, and thoughts flash into the mind. These flashes are sometimes called hunches or inspirations. The 6th sense cannot be described to a person who hasn't developed and used the other 12 principles. It can only be understood through meditation and development of the mind from within. Hill admitted that he himself didn't fully understand the 6th sense, but he knew from personal experience that it exists and that it provides warning of impending dangers and notification of opportunities. Great leaders, inventors, and creators in all fields have relied on the 6th sense. They've learned to tune in to this invisible source of knowledge and inspiration. The practical application: as you apply the other 12 principles, remain open to hunches, insights, and inspirations. When they come, act on them immediately. Test them. Many of your greatest opportunities will come through the 6th sense. Before closing, Hill dedicated significant space to identifying and conquering the 6 basic fears that hold most people back from success. The 6 fears are: the fear of poverty. This is the most destructive fear. It paralyzes reason, destroys imagination, kills self-reliance, undermines enthusiasm, discourages initiative, and leads to uncertainty of purpose. The fear of criticism This fear robs you of initiative, destroys imagination, limits individuality, and kills self-reliance. The fear of ill health. This fear often creates the very illness that is feared through negative expectation and worry. The fear of loss of love. This fear creates jealousy, fault-finding, and gambling with love. Relationships. The fear of old age. This fear creates inferiority complex, kills initiative, and encourages procrastination. The fear of death. This fear shadows people throughout life, often without them realizing it, and prevents them from fully living. He'll emphasize that these fears are nothing more than states of mind, and states of mind can be controlled and directed. The antidote to fear is definite purpose backed by faith. Here's the critical insight. Fear is faith in reverse. When you fear something, you're having faith that the negative outcome will occur. If you can have faith in negative outcomes, you can also develop faith in positive outcomes. It's simply a matter of redirecting your mental energy. So here we are at the end of our journey through Think and Grow Rich. But this isn't really an ending. It's a beginning. You now understand the 13 principles that have created more wealth than any other philosophy in history. You know about desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, the mastermind, sex transmutation, the subconscious mind, the brain, and the sixth sense. But understanding isn't enough. Knowledge isn't power. It's only potential power. The power comes from application. Hill spent 20 years researching these principles. He interviewed over 500 successful people. He distilled their secrets into a formula that anyone can follow. But the formula only works if you work it. So here's what you need to do right now. First, define your definite major purpose. What do you want? Be specific. Write it down. Second, create a definite plan for achieving it. Write that down too. Third, begin immediately to put your plan into action. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They never come. Fourth, apply these 13 principles every single day. Make them habits. Make them part of who you are. Fifth, persist until you succeed. No matter what obstacles appear. No matter how many times you fail. Keep going. Remember what Hill discovered. The secret to success appears on every page of this book. That secret is simply this. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That's it. That's the whole secret. Everything else is just instruction on how to apply it. You already have everything you need to succeed. You have desire. You have imagination. You have the ability to think. The only question is, will you use these gifts? Most people won't. Most people will listen to this podcast, feel inspired for a day or two, and then go back to their old habits. Most people will never take action on what they've learned. But you're not most people. You didn't listen to this entire podcast by accident. Something inside you knows you're capable of more. Something inside you refuses to settle for mediocrity. That something is your definite purpose trying to express itself. Listen to it. Trust it. Act on it. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. Your fortune is waiting to be claimed. Your purpose is waiting to be fulfilled. The only thing standing between you and success is the decision to begin and the persistence to continue. So begin today. Begin right now. Take the first step toward your definite purpose. Then take another step, and another, and keep going until you arrive at your destination. Success is not a matter of luck or chance. It's a matter of applying exact principles in the right way at the right time with persistence and faith. You now know those principles. The rest is up to you. Now, before you go, I want to leave you with one final question. And I want you to really think about this. If you could have absolute certainty that just one of these 13 principles, when applied with total commitment for the next 90 days, would completely transform your financial reality, which principle would you choose, and what would you do with it today? Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Today. Because here's the truth that Napoleon Hill discovered. The people who succeed aren't more talented, more intelligent, or more capable than you. They simply made a decision and backed it with persistent action while everyone else was still thinking about it. So, which principle speaks to you? Is it desire? Is it decision? Is it persistence? Is it building your mastermind alliance? Whatever it is, I challenge you to implement it immediately. Test it. Prove to yourself that these principles work. And here's what I want you to do right now. If this podcast gave you even one insight that could change your life, if you now see success differently than you did an hour ago, do two things for me. First, hit that subscribe button, because I'm breaking down more life-changing books like this every single week. Books that have created millionaires. Books that have transformed lives. Books that contain the secrets most people never discover. Second, drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 13 principles are you committing to apply today? What's your definite major purpose? Share it with the community. Because when you declare your purpose publicly, you activate the law of commitment. You're no longer just thinking about it. You're making it real. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, someone who's struggling, someone who's stuck, someone who has dreams but hasn't taken action, share this video with them. You might just change their life. Remember, riches begin with a state of mind, with definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard work. You're not reading this book, studying these principles, or listening to this breakdown by accident. This is a universe giving you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. The question is, will you recognize the opportunity and act on it? I'll see you in the next episode, where we'll be breaking down another game-changing book that the wealthy elite don't want you to read. Until then, stop wishing. Stop hoping. Stop waiting. Start thinking and grow rich. Now go.